Welcome to Just Break Up, the podcast about love, heartbreak, and all the relationship advice you don't want to hear. My name is Sierra DeMulder.
And I'm Sam Blackwell. And today we're going to answer a letter from somebody whose boyfriend is still friends with his ex. But before we begin, we just want to give you our Surgeon General's warning, which is that Sierra and I are not licensed mental health practitioners.
You're right. We're not professionals. We're not trained in any of this. Certified, nada.
I can certify us. Like, that sounds fine.
I feel like you have to be certified by someone else that's not us. Do you know what I mean? That's the whole point of a certification. It's not just something you give yourself.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we could do it.
I'm a certified pastry chef. And by that, I mean...
I love that.
I Google recipes and then I replicate them in my tiny kitchen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, we're not professionals, pastry chefs, nor relationship advice givers. So please take our advice as you see fit. We're only here to offer our humble musings to hopefully shed some understanding and maybe some laughs about the incredibly rewarding but mostly confusing experience that is love. But first, it's Monday, so we're going to do a quick check-in topic before we dive into today's letter. The check-in topic is coming to us from Ace of Hearts, whose pronouns are she, her, who is writing to us from Planners Town, US of A. Ace of Hearts writes, I'll keep my question short and sweet. How do you find room for spontaneity in a relationship where being an adult is so freaking scheduled? Because of my girlfriends and my different work schedule and social schedules, we have to be so intentional about finding time to spend together. We've been dating for 3 months, and in this current season, we are both individually very busy with life and work. Scheduling is exhausting, but a necessary evil, especially given that I'm a planner and need to know what's on the calendar to mentally prepare for it. Haha. Both of us are passionate about the work we do and value our hobbies and friend time, so the calendar fills up quickly. It just doesn't feel very sexy to have to talk about scheduling all the time or to fit in dates in random windows of time during an otherwise busy day. So please share any thoughts on scheduling, spontaneity, and maintaining a healthy relationship between two independent humans who love their jobs and friends as well as each other. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. What is your schedule to spontaneity ratio?
Well, given that I have a 2.5-year-old, it's about 0 to 365 days a year. I don't know what that ratio was, but you said ratio.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't have a lot of spontaneity. We do try to make our daughter used to adult spaces. Not that we're like taking her out to bars and boozing and carousing, but that like.
Listen, I'm from Wisconsin, so that like if you brought her to a bar, I'd be like, okay, cool.
That
seems like an appropriate place for a 2.5-year-old for sure.
We try to not let our toddler dictate every space and decision we make, but we don't have a lot of room for spontaneity right now because of how much we are needed in other avenues of our life, much like our letter writer. I think when we were childless, we were able to be like, oh my God, it's a beautiful sunny day. Let's go sit out on a patio. You know, it just changes things. Like the letter writer says, it has a lot to do with whatever season of life you're in. What about you two? What about you and Peter?
We have not been super spontaneous recently, just because of like a lot of things that are going on in our lives. But I think we kind of still try to inject spontaneity even as we're kind of like planful people. So like this sounds so lame, but it'll be like, hey, how about instead of making that thing for dinner that we were planning on like what if we ordered sushi instead? And then like that's the thing that we do.
Oh my God, cute though. Literally though, that is like a once a month treat that Willow and I do, and we never plan it. It's always like, oh my God, tonight's gonna be the sushi night.
Yeah, absolutely. Or it's like after dinner, like after a long day and we've like made dinner and we sit down, it's like, what if we went to Dairy Queen right now? And then we like go to Dairy Queen or whatever.
Hot.
Right. And it's just like, it's so simple and sounds like so silly, I'm sure, for like people who haven't been married for 7 years or whatever. But it's like
7 years. Was it 7 years this last year?
How many? No, 6 years.
You're not married 7 years. Yeah, 6 years.
Yeah,
but you've been together way longer than that. Oh no, It's okay. You can round up. I'm at the age where I double guess my age all the time.
I'm 47.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we try to do. But, you know, especially on the weekends, because like we don't have kids. We have like obligations to like family and social stuff. But sometimes it'll just be like, hey, do you want to go for a walk, or do you want to walk to the brewery that we're members of? Like, it's just kind of, it's easier, I think, because we live together and we're around each other all the time. So it's like, we can, when we're
the free
both,
time is a lot more organic.
Absolutely. Because we like, it's like, oh, we have an unscheduled afternoon. Like, do we want to do something, go to a movie or something? Yeah. So there is some spontaneity, but
man, going to the movies is actually one of the things I miss about my pre-children days. Because now it's just a whole ordeal, because when the movies are played is at night. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's only so many movies she can see. Yeah. Oh yeah,
she's not old enough to go to a theater yet, but Moana 2 is coming out, so we're gonna test that theory really soon. Anyway, so I wanted to actually like give some advice and not just our own lived experience. I think the first thing that I want to say is to acknowledge that it sounds like y'all have a really healthy relationship to your independence. You know, I love that you're talking about that you love your jobs, that you love your friends, and you prioritize that, and that you're honoring that in each other. So that's like such a great foundation. And I also want to just start by laying the foundation of romanticizing the idea of spontaneity. I think you like hit it on the nose in the letter when you were like, it's unsexy to be so plannery. You know, it's like, it's not very like romantic. It doesn't feel romantic to be like, oh, okay, what about this lunch hour on a random Wednesday or Saturday afternoon? Oh no, it's got to be Sunday morning. You know, like it's very logisticy, but I just want to stress that the idea that spontaneity equals romance, that it's this idea of being able to whisk each other off at any moment, and that equates romance, I don't think it's necessarily true. I think that's the sort of narrative that we've been told from popular culture and rom-coms and things like that. And yes, it's really fun. And yes, scheduling is so logistic that there's nothing... It doesn't feel sexy, but it can be very romantic. Look at all the ways that you're prioritizing yourself. I also wanted to point out, like, look at all the ways you're prioritizing yourself as an individuals and how you're prioritizing connection, even though you both have really busy schedules. I think if we switch from a sense of like, I'm lacking, I'm doing this wrong, to the idea of gratitude, like, wow, I love that we're so busy and we have such healthy, full, rich lives, and we're still really working hard to have this time together. You know, that's just like a perspective shift. That doesn't like giving you any advice on how to be more spontaneous, but I think it's a good thing to start with, that like you're not doing anything wrong. And I think it's very romantic how you guys are working so hard to keep your life really balanced while maintaining connection during this busy season.
For sure. Absolutely. And also, to a certain extent, if you want to be spontaneous, you have to give up the comfort of having everything scheduled. Like, that's also part of it. You know, like, I think I'm also somebody who likes to like plan my stuff out. But I also have to be open to the idea that like sometimes we can't plan things if we want to be spontaneous. We have to just like in the moment say yes to something that somebody's offering us, or in the moment ask our partner to say like, hey, I don't have anything planned, but do you want to go do this thing? Right? Like that, we have to be open to it. And that can be uncomfortable because we can't mentally prepare. And as like a mentally preparer myself, I get it. Like, I'm like, wait a minute. We're going to dinner. I need to look at the menu so that I know what I'm going to order before I get there. Like, I totally get all of that. Like, and to a certain extent, if you want to support yourself in your spontaneity, you do have to like let yourself be uncomfortable with not knowing. You have to surrender to the idea that you can't plan for everything.
And I think that can be as simple as being like, oh, I had Sunday afternoon blocked away so that I could meal plan. Well, okay, can I forgo meal planning, or can I invite my partner in on meal planning with me and then we go out together so we can get it done twice as fast? Or, oh my God, I've got these plans with my friends. Can this one time that my partner join me with our friends? Like, is this a good time to like mix worlds? You know what I mean? Or just like the discomfort of being like, I am not quite ready to do something different, but I know that it is an investment in my relationship. Like, I was joking with Sam earlier, like it's akin to when you're too tired to have sex, or like you're not really feeling totally in the mood, you're sleepy, you're like just about to go to bed, and your partner's trying to initiate something, and you deciding, or me, I'll talk about myself, me being like, I'm tired, but I think I'll do this because they're giving me the bid for intimacy, and I'm going to respond to it. And then after you have sex, you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I did that. I'm so glad I pushed through the discomfort of being sleepy and not totally in the mood, because we had this great sex and we're connected and whatever. Sort of pushing through that initial resistance to find those pockets of spontaneity by doing something new and potentially,
And even, during your scheduled time, finding ways to be spontaneous within the scheduling, right? So, if you're like, okay, we're going to hang out on Tuesday afternoon, right? Like, is there something new and different that you could do on that Tuesday afternoon instead of just going to your apartment and watching Netflix, but like going to try a new restaurant or going for a bike ride or something that can kind of break up the kind of like sameness of it all. Like, you can be spontaneous within like the guardrails of the time that you have scheduled with each other.
Yeah, and I just had the idea too, like, I don't know if y'all are gifty or acts of servicey or whatever, but like, so you've got your scheduled date in your like very packed calendar. Can you show up to that scheduled date with a surprise gift or treasure hunt? I'm all about that cute ass shit, especially when I have like the time and energy to do it, which is not now. But you know what I mean? Like, can you do something surprising within the limited time that you have? That feels very spontaneous, especially, even if it's a one-sided spontaneity where it's like you're surprising your partner. I think that's super romantic.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Cute. Okay, awesome. Well, we hope this helps. And now we can dive into today's letter.
All right, let's get into today's letter. Today's letter comes from Netflix. Today's letter comes from Netflix and Amazon Prime, whose pronouns are she, her, who is writing from the void. Hi, Sam and Sierra, teehee. I, NAP, she, her, early 30s, have started dating my boyfriend, HBO, 4 months ago, also early 30s. Things are going so well. He is open and vulnerable with me. We talk about everything, and I've never felt this quietly content before. I feel really seen in this relationship. There's just one thing that is gnawing at me. HBO is still friends with his ex from a couple of years ago. While I haven't met her yet, she sounds like a good person who is genuinely happy for him in his new relationship with me. They broke up a few years ago and have remained friends, and he tells me nothing has happened between them since, and I believe him. I want to be supportive of this friendship, though it makes me uncomfortable for reasons that I think are primarily just because of untrue narratives about exes not being able to stay friends. However, there are a few things about their relationship that seem a bit coupley to me. For example, he gives her a ride to the airport despite transit being pretty good where we live, and she still uses his subscription accounts despite the fact that she has a well-paying job. I am having difficulty understanding why this bothers me so much. We've started sharing some accounts, i.e. he uses my Netflix, I use his HBO, and I just kind of hate seeing her name come up when I am unwinding in my safe space. Am I crazy? Is it normal to share subscriptions with past partners? I don't know how to talk to him about the fact that this makes me so uncomfortable. It feels like I am stepping into her territory rather than building something new together. How do I bring this up without discouraging their friendship? Thank you for all of your endless wisdom and helping confused strangers like myself one letter at a time.
All right, my darling. Thank you so much for writing and trusting us with this letter. I'm sure hundreds of people out there are going to relate to it in one way or another. I want to say you're not crazy and that it's okay that you're uncomfortable by this. It's actually okay that you're made uncomfortable by this. I don't think that this discomfort is telling you anything that is signaling that your relationship is unsafe. So we're going to unpack how we can work with this discomfort, what it might be telling us, and like the ways in which we can see examples of relationships changing shape over time all around us to help us better approach our partner's exes, our partners with past. But first, we are going to take a quick break.
All right, everyone, welcome back. I think that this is a really understandable sort of like crunchiness for you. I think it's hard for lots of us when we realize that our partners have pasts and that those pasts might still be involved in their lives, right? Like, I think it would be hard for lots of people to know that their current partner has an ex that is still like one of their friends, primarily because of what you talked about in your letter, which is that like we get a narrative that happens that people can't be friends with their exes. They can't figure out a way to make it work without it either being some sort of like secret that they're secretly still in love with each other, or that like exes are so terrible to us that like we can't possibly be friends with them and we need to block, right? And I think just, I've contributed to that narrative as well with the whole block, don't talk to your ex.
You're like, that might be my bad.
Yeah, but that's because like 95% of the time it's true. And there's also a good chunk of people who have friends that were people that they dated at one point. Right. And I don't know anything about the relationship that your current partner and his ex had, how it ended, how much time has passed between their relationship. But I also know that there are lots of people in my life, and I think probably lots of people in Sierra's life as well, who are friends with their exes, because it's like either we dated a long time ago or we dated and it was like, oh, this isn't going to work because of these reasons, but like we still really like each other, so let's be friends. Or because, they just figured out a way to make it happen. And I want to kind of like take this idea and disrupt it a little bit, because I don't want you to look at ways in which your partner is showing up as a good friend to this person and turn that around and say, oh, this is an example of how he can't be trusted, or like, this feels weird, they shouldn't be doing this, because like, it sounds like he is actually just trying to be a good friend to somebody in his life who he dated at one point, right? Like, how wonderful a friend is he that he gives
and the fact
rides
that
to
they
the airport?
dated can be a very small part of their current iteration.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? And I get it. I hear the mobs roaring in the background, like, but my ex was actually sleeping with his ex, or she wanted to get back with him. There are 1,000 narratives out there of like the ex is gone wrong, right? We know that. But right now in this moment, we're going to be moving forward with the belief that this is a healthy friendship, that people are capable of changing their feelings about each other and then like being adults and having adult friendships, and we're also going to move forward whether or not your partner is trustworthy, right? We're going to move forward recognizing that it's okay if we're uncomfortable, and that actually is telling us that we have the opportunity to do something different, that there's something being like flagged in our brain that needs tending to. And right now, what needs tending to isn't necessarily your boyfriend not sharing his streaming platforms with his friends. Let's call her his friend right now, because she is, period. I pay for one streaming service right now, and I have almost all of them.
You're welcome.
What'd you say?
I said, you're welcome.
Yes, I got Peacock from Sam, Max from Spencer, Hulu from Willow's best friend, who is her ex.
Oh.
Boom.
Oh.
Well, boom. Well, bam. And I pay for Disney Plus because I am a mom.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah. And I'm also a Marvel fan. Let's face it.
It's true. It's true. It's like the one thing about you that I just can't.
You gotta watch my dude, Agatha all along. Catherine
I'm with you.
And Aubrey Plaza, sexual history.
Like, WandaVision is the only
tension between the two most iconic actors of our time.
It's
No, I'm just
an
being.
intense statement.
I'm just being gay. I'm just being a gay extremist.
WandaVision is the only Marvel I have liked, so I'm excited to watch Agatha all along.
There we go. Anyway, okay, back to our dear friend. I just want to say, like, it makes a lot of sense that you're uncomfortable because you have been told in a million different ways that in our monogamous facing forward culture that and I'm going to use your word here, that our partners are our territory. And you said in your letter, I feel like, I don't remember which way it went, but you were like, I feel like she's in my territory or I'm in her territory. But if we stop thinking about our partners as things that we own or that we pee on, or that is, if we stop thinking about our partners as safe only if no one else can get to them, then all of a sudden we might be able to see the fact that this could be just a relationship that started as something romantic. The romance didn't work and they devolved or evolved into the iteration that they are now. And even though it's not the popular narrative out there, I'm confident that there are more people who were exes that are now friends out there than they are the other way around. Like, it is, even thinking about my own, let me just say this. Number one, this would be uncomfortable for me. This would be a challenge. I would have to put on my big girl pants and be like, okay, the fact that I'm uncomfortable doesn't mean something's wrong. I would have to work through my discomfort just like you are doing right now. So you're doing all the right things. You're feeling all the right feelings, and we're capable of feeling them and doing something differently than trying to control our partner's past, I have people that I was like romantically involved with, that I slept with or whatever, that I look back on now and I physically can't imagine them as romantic partners of mine. Like, I cannot believe that happened. And let that be proof that, like, people can change their shapes to us. People can change their purpose to us. It is possible.
Definitely.
And in this economy, let me tell you, in this economy, we need a friend who is the person who is willing to drive us to the airport, because that shit is getting more and more expensive. I'm talking
absolutely.
At least $30. That's $60 round trip. And your plane ticket
100%.
was already what? $350? Come on.
Also, like, I don't trust Uber. I trust my friends to pick me up and like make sure that I get to the airport on time. But like, I don't trust like a rideshare service, because like, who knows what's going to happen? And like, there's so many bad experiences that I've had with them that like, I would much rather ask somebody that I know to drive me to the airport. And also, like, even if we make a lot of money, none of us wants to pay $100 a month for every subscription service, right? Like, if somebody's going to offer me HBO, I'm going to take it. Like, I'm not going to like just be like, oh, we broke up 2 years ago, I'm not going to use your HBO anymore. I'm going to secretly use it until suddenly you change the password. Like,
yeah. My ex was on my family phone plan for like 2 years after we broke up, because again, it was cheaper. And none of us were like, get out of here, you non-blood related person. We're all like, yeah, it makes fucking total sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Just pay your bill.
This is not to say like a better than thou thing. Like I said, I had similar feeling. My wife and her best friend are exes from like 20 fucking years ago, which is different. But, I'm a sensitive little anxiously attached troll. And
that's why we love
I had
you.
feelings. Yeah. I had feelings about it in the beginning. They're so close. They're fucking best buds. And this friend is the person who drives my wife to the airport. We have their Hulu account, it is that person. And I had to soothe that anxious beast inside me who was taught that my love is only safe if I can control all aspects of it. That's not true. My love is actually the safest, and it flourishes the most when it is supported by a loving and generous support system, when my partner has people that she can count on outside of me, when my partner has intimacy outside of me. That is when my love is the healthiest. And it took me years to figure that out, but I know that is true for you. I don't want this to be the hill that your relationship dies on, because I know you are capable of pushing through this discomfort and seeing your partner as a full and capable human who is capable of having relationships that have changed shape in his life. Do you know what I mean? And if we're wrong, like, fuck both of these people. But I don't think we are, you know?
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think as you are signing into that, HBO login and you see her name and you're like, this is in my safe space, I want you to look at that name and not think, oh, that name is a threat to me. I want you to look at that name and say, that person is my partner's friend, right? I want you to say, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that person has been a really good friend to my partner. It needs that level of reframing because, like, right now what you're telling yourself is that the narrative around exes is true. And you need to disrupt that narrative by being like, this person is my partner's ex, sure. But also, this person drives my partner to the airport, or this person offers us their password, or this person answers the phone when my partner is having a bad day, or like whatever it is that the level of friendship that this person, like literally a person, is offering to your partner, and the support that they're providing for him, and the reciprocal beautiful relationship that they have as friends who take care of each other is actually, like Sierra said, a benefit not just to your partner, but it is also a benefit to your relationship because, like Sierra said, we are healthier when we are in community with multiple people who we can call on for support and help when we need it, right? Our interconnections with other people aren't threats to our monogamous relationships. They actually strengthen our monogamous relationships because they allow us to have full, rich lives that give us the capacity to be able to look at our partners and support them, right? We can't just be each other's everything in all things because that's never going to work. So we need networks of support to help make sure that our relationship is healthy and stable and functioning.
Yeah. And to just be like emotional for 5 seconds, that friend and her partner are now like our closest friends, but more importantly, they are my child's like closest adults in her life. We joke that they are my daughter's godparents, but we didn't like the religious connotations of it, so they looked it up, and like the queer non-denominational version of it is guide parents, if you want to cry in queerness.
That's so cute. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that.
and they are, if I had not worked through my discomfort in those first couple of years about the intimacy that my wife shares with my ex, I would have been denying my families this amazing support system. I would have been denying my daughter this person who is who's gonna be at every recital, every track meet, who is gonna be at every graduation. Like, and that's the bigger picture when we're thinking about working through this nervous system upset, when we feel threatened, when we feel jealous. There are bigger things on the other side of that discomfort that we can gift our relationship by working through it.
I think you should meet this person. I think that you should like see her as like a physical
as a human, as a friend. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then she's going to be like really hot and talented and smart. And then you're going to write into us again.
Like,
and listen, we're going to help you through that too, because it comes in stages. None of Sam and I's advice is meant to judge you, because like I said, it took me years to fully be like, this is an asset to my relationship. But Sam's right. This is a friend. This is your partner's friend. Period.
Absolutely. And I think you should meet her, because I also want you to be able to like look at her and see her as like a human being and not just like,
I do love
like
not just
an anonymous threat to your relationship. Yeah, absolutely.
I do love that Sam finally was like, I may be responsible for some of the excessive blocking of exes. You're always appropriate though. You're always right when you say black. And also there's another path.
Yes,
I'm sure that they had time apart.
I'm sure that they did. Yeah. It sounds like they did what they needed to do.
They did the labor to become friends.
Absolutely. And it sounds like it's really working. So like meet this person, like look at her as a potential friend, right? Like this woman is not a threat to you. And that's an important thing to remember, because again, the narrative that we have and our attachment styles teach us that other people who are close to our partners or who have had pasts with our partners are a threat to us. And that is not true. I mean, sometimes it's true, but it's not true in every time. And I don't think it's true here.
Yes. All right, my darling. We're rooting for you. We're rooting for your relationship, and we want folks to save money. You know what I mean? Save money in this economy. Play
HBO
that
has enough
corporate
of our money.
system.
They don't need more
there's
of
no
it.
reason why they deserve all of our money. Anyway, we love you, and we hope this helps.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like more content from us, or if you would like access to our monthly office hours, you can support us on Patreon. If you support us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month, you'll get an additional bonus weekly episode, as well as access to our office hours. That's patreon.com/justbreakuppod.
You can slide into our DM, send us your favorite relationship meme, but most importantly, you can submit your questions about all matters of the heart at justbreakuppod.com, which is also where you can find our merchandise.
Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review. This literally keeps our mics on and helps us reach more brokenhearted souls who need 2 random strangers giving them relationship advice.
Just Break Up is a production of Duvid Media, original music, recording, editing, producing all magical things by our good friend Spencer Worth Davis. Make sure to check out his podcast and his music, and fucking run that marathon, you beautiful cat. and remember, there we go. And remember, it's actually okay for us to be uncomfortable sometimes. It doesn't necessarily mean that our love is unsafe or that our bodies are at risk. Discomfort is trying to tell us that we have the opportunity to do something differently. We can take a deep breath, calm our nervous system, comfort what needs to be comforted, and move forward in a new and more authentic way. And if all else fails,
Just break up.